So all of this is great exposure during the Super Bowl, but I have another theory, a theory that's a hell of a lot cheaper. This is how you're going to get some serious eyeballs onto your product and actually get some decent call to actions and good conversion, costing you a fraction of the price. And it's really simple. Run paid social media ads. Paid social media ads are a great way to get eyeballs on your product, but here is why running them through the Super Bowl is super effective. Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can probably all see, artwork has changed behind us. Yes, so many of you in the comments were giving me so much shit about the NFT stuff, but no, we're back with different artwork. This is from my boys over at Theft Art, so big shout out to them. So today I'm going to show you how to get as many views on your ads as they do in the Super Bowl, but literally for a fraction of the price. Honestly, guys, you do not want to miss this. I'm going to dive into the Super Bowl, all the money that's spent around it. It's absolutely crazy. So in today's episode, we're going to cover the Super Bowl. And to be honest with you, should probably mean Moneyball. The amount of cash that is thrown at the Super Bowl for literally one event is absolutely crazy. I mean, it is the most watched sporting event, or traditionally it will be the most watched sporting event, but the cash is absolutely ridiculous, guys. So we're going to first cover a few key points and an interesting story about owning an NFL team. We're going to look at the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, and then also advertising around the Super Bowl and how you can maximize this as a business. Remember, guys, do us all a favor, hit subscribe, tap like, and then tap that bell icon to stay up to date with all of the details. We are pushing out as much content as possible at the moment, really trying to educate you guys on the best forms of marketing and how to really maximize this as your business. So upsettingly, my favorite podcast, My First Millions, actually did an episode on the Super Bowl and everything associated with it. So a lot of this kind of stuff is referenced from My First Millions. Got some of my own stuff as well. So big shout out to Sam and Sean. You guys got there first, but I mean, their stuff is amazing. So if you don't already watch My First Millions, go check them out. I'll link one of their latest episodes here, which is the Super Bowl one. Go check it out. So let's get into it. Okay, so interestingly, there is around 40 to 50 minutes of advertisement during the Super Bowl, and there is only 60 minutes of gameplay. That's absolutely crazy. Traditionally, take football here in the UK, you literally have halftime, you have advertisements either side of the halftime pundit show, and a few ads beforehand and a few ads after. Probably rough kind of back of the napkin maths, some live maths, which you don't normally do. You probably got about 15 minutes worth of advertising space over a 90-minute game. This is 40 to 50 minutes over a 60-minute game. Crazy stuff. You pretty much spend just as much time watching adverts as you do actually watching the game. So is it really worth paying for advertising space around the Super Bowl, especially considering how expensive it now is? Okay, but let's just first unpack the owner of the Chiefs. Now, this is a really interesting story. I'd never heard this before, heard it on MFM, then I did some research, and pretty cool backstory. So the grandpa of Clark Hunt, the current CEO and owner of the Chiefs, is H.L. Hunt. Now, this guy's an absolute cowboy. I'm just a ruthless businessman from the Wild West. An absolute Texas oil bad boy. So Hunt was a pretty handy gambler, and he managed to kind of get up to around about $100,000 during the early 1900s. He then took that money and started buying oil leases. Now, so back then in America, everyone was buying oil leases. It was kind of a bit like drill and hope. It was pretty risky business. You'd plow all your money into just hoping that the one bit of land that you bought would strike liquid gold, literally. So Hunt was looking at this and said, look, I've been a gambler in my life. I don't really want to stay in this, so I want to get out. So with his last roll of the dice, he bought some land in Texas. Lo and behold, the guy literally hit liquid gold. I am talking one of the largest, I think it's actually still the largest oil depository founds that they ever found here in Texas.
Show me the money! Show me the money!
Anyway, the guy basically at the time becomes the richest guy in the world. Strangely enough, actually, the family history is pretty cool. I mean, his daughter actually founded the Rosewood Hotel. And accordingly to My First Million, one of the sons, and I think it's the father of the current owner of the Chiefs, actually invented the Super Bowl, or at least invented the marketing and branding around the Super Bowl. So it was literally written in the stars at this point that the Chiefs would get to the Super Bowl, and they have done several times. Anyway, the guy bought the Chiefs for like 25k or something around that figure back maybe like 40, 50 years ago.
No way.
25k back then, yeah, a lot of money. But now the Chiefs is worth between 2 to 3 billion. Talk about Moneyball. Jesus, that is a return on investment. I mean, actually, my first million did some online maths, and it's pretty much like 10, 15% compounded interest every single year for 40 years. But still, that's a very good rate of return. Anyway, let's talk about marketing. I mean, that's the whole reason why you guys are here. We're trying to give you the information around marketing, influencer marketing, UGC, content creator. You guys know the script. So let's get into the marketing around the Super Bowl. So what is the going rate for a 30-second ad on the Super Bowl? Now, take a deep breath because this is going to scare you a little bit. The average rate for a 30-second ad during the Super Bowl is $7 million.
Holy shnikes.
Yep, that's been climbing from around 2015. It was $4.5 million, and it keeps going up. Roughly around $500 million in ad revenue is generated by the Super Bowl every single year. Again, Moneyball. This stuff is crazy. So much cash is put into advertisements and everything else around the Super Bowl. But is it really worth it? So first, let's look at some of the top ads from the Super Bowl from last year. Okay, number one, let's kick it off. I mean, the irony behind this. FTX, don't miss out, Larry David. I mean, the irony behind this, considering all the FTX drama, is comical, really. Like, it's almost like it never happened. But yeah, the advert shows Larry David basically going through a series of times from like Babylonian caveman times all the way through to George Washington and the signing of the Declaration of Independence to new ideas all coming through. And in every single stage, basically Larry David says, not interested, stupid idea with the new innovation, new technology, etc. The scene then ends with this.
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
Yep, this ad was literally 1 year ago, and it said, don't be like Larry. I mean, this is comical to say the least. In the same year, Squarespace did their ad. Now, they did a take on, let me just try and do this now. Fucking hell, there we go. She sells seashells on the seashore. Absolute nightmare to do that. But basically, the advertisement is saying that with Squarespace, you can grow and scale your business to unseen heights. To be honest with you, pretty decent advertisement. And third, how could we not forget Coinbase's iconic advertisement of the QR code bouncing around the screen as if it's like the video screensaver that everybody was so accustomed to. I mean, there was literally zero production cost with this advertisement, which is why it made it so good for Coinbase. In a week, they saw about 300% rise in their app downloads. At the time, they were a super popular app anyway. I think they shot from like number 28 in the App Store all the way to number 1 on Apple's App Store. So in my opinion, that's some pretty decent marketing. Yes, they paid for the ad slot, but in terms of production quality, they saved some serious cash on that. Unlike FTX, but as we know, FTX were quite accustomed to blowing a lot of cash. But running a Super Bowl advert, is it even worth it, or are there other ways to get great exposure for your brand? Well, Gatorade certainly spun that idea on its head. No, literally over the head. It's now tradition in the Super Bowl event that the winning coach has the Gatorade poured over their head. There's even gambling markets on what color the Gatorade is going to be. This is just absolutely golden because the camera crews are all over the coach as you're coming into the final seconds of the game, waiting for that Gatorade to be poured over. Brilliant organic marketing for Gatorade, and they've absolutely nailed it with that. As well, also mentioned on My First Million, the phrase, I'm going to Disneyland, has now been coined with the winning quarterback. It's also rumored that Disney approached the agents of both the quarterbacks from each of the teams in the final to say, listen, when you win, when they ask you what you're going to do, you say you're going to Disneyland.
What are you going to do next?
Amazing marketing, great strategic play. These are unbelievable ways that you can get massive brand exposure without actually having to pay these $7 million price tags for 30-second ads. So all of this is great exposure during the Super Bowl, but I have another theory, a theory that's a hell of a lot cheaper. This is how you're going to get some serious eyeballs onto your product and actually get some decent call to actions and good conversion, costing you a fraction of the price. And it's really simple. Run paid social media ads. Paid social media ads are a great way to get eyeballs on your product, but here is why running them through the Super Bowl is super effective. My theory is that people don't even watch the ads anymore. For example, in the break when it comes to football, or in the break in anything that I'm watching on TV, I go straight to my mobile phone and I doom scroll through Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I'm on social media in the ad breaks. I'm not watching the TV. So while people think there's eyeballs on their advertisements, the eyeballs are literally looking down on the phone. So let's just assume that I represent a good chunk of people, and actually a lot of people do turn to their phones and get onto social media during the ad break. You can literally put paid targeted advertising to people who are likely going to be watching the Super Bowl. You can look at audience types, profiles, demographic, and target your ads directly to them. This, in theory, should be a really good way to drive eyeballs directly to your product. And remember, this is social media ads. You can add call to actions, unlike on a TV ad. You can literally convert a customer from the advertisement into purchasing a product straight away. So, makes a lot of sense in theory. And don't forget as well, retargeting is perfect. Even if they glance over it, engage with it, turn the phone off, the game comes back on, retargeting ads are amazing. You can't retarget if they watch it on TV. So with all these big companies spending absolutely millions on production and ad space, you as a business with some decent quality UGC and a very good paid marketing strategy, target people who are likely going to be watching the Super Bowl and target it during the times at which the ad breaks are going to be, or generally just spread your ad spend out across the whole of the Super Bowl period. And in my opinion, this is going to be how you get eyeballs and you convert into paying customers literally at the fraction of the cost of paying for the Super Bowl ad. That's all for today, guys. Catch you in a bit.